Be the hero of your own story, for no one else can define your worth. Maya Angelou. All right. Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Liberty Dad Podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. I'm your host, DL, America's most objective libertarian. Tuning in live, thank you for giving me your time so early. All right, folks. Sorry about the delay this morning. My family is now back in town, so I got to readjust to having people around, right? Like, it was the case that I was like going to bed and there was no people, and I'd wake up and there was no people. I mean, my mother-in-law, but she's pretty chill. She just kind of keeps to herself and I go and check on her from time to time and we go for a walk. So it's not quite the same, as your wife and definitely not the same as a 6-year-old who's all like, "Dad, dad, 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 dad," which I say in a good way, of course. Um, but I have to adjust when they leave and I have to readjust when they come back, because it's like, wow, I got all this free time to myself. What do I do with it? And then when they come back, I'm like, oh, there goes all that free time that I wasn't really figuring out how to do with well anyway. So I do much better when I kind of have a little bit of a routine. So anyway, we're a little delayed this morning, but that's okay. Remember, tonight I will be streaming one last time in the evening. That's going to be at 7:30 p.m. Much of that will be premium because, as you all know, I'm in the Rumble Creator Program, and as my VA lady is pointing out, she said Liberty Dad is in jeopardy, not the cool game show, but in jeopardy of getting kicked out of the creator program for not having enough Rumble chatters during the live stream. Please comment if you're watching on Rumble. So yes, I would appreciate it if you comment. Now, what is all this creator, Rumble, blah, blah, blah. What's going on? So if you're not familiar, I am in the Rumble creator program on Rumble and I get paid. Not tons of money. It's not like I'm getting like millions of dollars. This is not Daily Wire money yet. Okay. But there are requirements. And of those requirements, I have to stream at least 30 hours a month. Okay. Fair enough. I have to get at least 200 watch hours from viewers like you, the audience members, every month. And both of those have been hit. We're already good with those. Then I have to have of that 30 hours, I can, 5 of that can be premium, which means you have to be a premium exclusive member to watch it. Um, I have to have 5 hours, and that can be like 25 plus 5 for a total of 30, or it can be 30 or more plus 5. And so right now we're actually going to be more than 30. It's going to be like 30 plus whatever. So that's cool. So we're in good shape there. It's the chatters that's really, really challenging, because a lot of the views that I get tend to come after the fact. And so any comments that come in later, they don't count toward the chatters in this program, but they do count nonetheless because that helps out the channel. In fact, speaking of, if you want to help this channel, please subscribe to me on YouTube if you're watching there, and feel free to keep commenting. Like, I'm not trying to run you away. We're trying to grow there too. Right now, the focus is a little bit more on Rumble since their metrics and the things that I need to hit are a little bit more within reach. And then if you are watching on Rumble, if you're watching just generally, that's cool. But if you want to help the channel, please make a free account and drop some comments in while I'm streaming live. You can just say hi. I mean, I get it. Maybe you just want to listen in. Maybe you're driving. Don't drive and text or whatever. But if you have an opportunity, go ahead and drop a comment in there. Now, if you don't know what to say, if you're like, well, DL, I'm just listening and I don't really have any comment to make, just say hi. It might sound silly, but even saying hi will help. And we tested that. We had somebody jump in and they just said hello and they didn't say anything else. And then we looked later and bam, they counted. So it counts. Other ways that you can help this channel: share links and clips. So, if you're like, hey, man, this was a really good show, I really liked it, to share the link with some of your friends. If you're so inclined and you like to clip it and then, put that clip up on your social media, feel free, go ahead. I encourage it. And then if you tag me, then I'll do my best to see that and then repost it as well, and even maybe give you a thanks as well. So I would appreciate it. All these things go toward helping the channel grow. And if you want a libertarian voice being out there, talking about all these topics from politics to more culture, what we're going to get into today, help the channel grow so that, Matt Walsh doesn't get all the eyeballs and all the ears. Okay. So that's what we're going for. The conservatives got their dad, Matt Walsh. The libertarians got theirs. So help me grow, folks. All right. All right. What are we going to talk about today? So, yes, let's kind of, so Tubb says, like, really 7:30 tonight? Yes. Now the catch is, for 7:30 tonight is, in some cases I try to use the 7:30 tonight mostly for my Rumble Premium, or kind of split it up a little bit. So it's not always a guarantee that it will be public. So if you just have a free account, you won't be able to see the Rumble Premium stuff because I have to do the Rumble Premium. So I try to keep the morning show as open as possible, not do any premium stuff, and then do premium stuff in off hours. That's what my aim is. I'm kind of and in some ways I'm kind of swinging from the hip here, but to appreciate you joining in, and you're probably like, wait a minute, you wanted me to be here at 7:30 a.m. Then you didn't show up on time. Then you're telling me that I could have been there at 7:30 p.m. Yeah, sorry, kind of. I didn't really think all that through. So, uh, I'm doing the best I can, folks. Doing the best I can. We say thanks to my VA lady who works her butt off to make me on time and to make me consistent and to communicate everything that I'm supposed to communicate. She's like, after the show, she'd be like, dude, you didn't say this and this and this and this. And I'm like, I'm sorry. So she keeps me in line. What do they say? Behind every great man is an even greater woman. I don't know if I'm great, but I definitely have a great woman assisting me. So make sure you give her a thanks and then promote her stuff when you see it as well. All right, folks. My VA lady, if DL says 7:30, it really means 7:45. I promise, folks. I promise I am working. I was doing really good, actually, about being pretty darn close to 7:30. I'm just saying. Like, I was on almost a streak. And when I say that, I do mean with a little flexibility for like 3 minutes. I think I said last week that I was aiming to be no later than 3 minutes. Now, today was a little different. And my excuse, which it is an excuse, and I get it. I'm not pretending like, it's anything other than an excuse. It totally is. My excuse today was that my family's back in town and I'm readjusting. Okay. All right. So There we go. Let's get into the show. So this is gonna be quick. South Park. I haven't seen the episode yet, so I can't really talk about it. I've seen some clips, and apparently they lampooned Donald Trump, as they should. That's like their role. And they did such a good job that it got the White House's attention. And they criticized South Park. They said they haven't been relevant in 20 years. Um, I guess when you're not relevant, you score, $1.5 billion deals. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, did they make fun of Biden? And I'm like, was there much to make fun of? I mean, it was literally just an old man stumbling around, probably being dragged around by his handlers. Like, what's to make fun of? I kind of felt bad for the guy because I'm like, I think this guy should be able to retire in peace. And we'll just set aside all the politics and whatever I think about him, politically speaking, just as a person. Like, the man was clearly not in shape to be running America. He should have been, like, at home, being able to, sit in his lazy boy and just kinda relax for the rest of his days, right? And we're just speaking as a human here, like, just being, polite, skipping the politics and all the anger that we might have at, our political foes. And so, what was there to make fun of? Like, he was almost making fun of himself in a way, so I don't know that there was a whole lot of material there. And let's be honest, Donald Trump gives a lot of material to mock and to talk about, and he likes it that way. D- Remember back in his first term when he was really big on Twitter? This is before he got in trouble and got told, got kicked off of Twitter or whatever, about got banned. There were stories that came out that said he would wake up in the morning, turn on the news, see what they're talking about, decide that he didn't find that interesting and would go tweet something crazy so that they would talk about that. Okay? So, when you have somebody that's got an ego like that, and he does. Nobody goes for the office of the presidency that doesn't have some level of ego. Or like, you have to. You might be more humble than others, but you have more of an ego than people who aren't going for that position. And as far as I'm concerned, all politicians are on the table to be made fun of. So they made fun of him in a similar vein like they did many years ago to Saddam Hussein, where they showed Saddam was in this relationship with Satan, and they would sometimes be in bed together. And they did the same thing to Donald Trump. I think they even had a lurid uh, uh, member of Trump's body present in the in the clip. I think I think I remember seeing that. I just saw some clips, and it was kind of funny. It very much in the vein of South Park. Now, if you're not familiar with South Park, which you should be, but if you're not an avid watcher, or you're not familiar with the creators, they are libertarian. They do identify as libertarian. And so the White House came out and they're like, you haven't been relevant in 20 years. And I'm like, I don't know. Shows that aren't relevant don't stay on the air. That's how it works, President Trump, Mr. President. Like, we watch it all the time. We'll see like a show come out, the pilot, then maybe like 2 or 3 episodes, and then they're like, "Yeah, this show's canceled." Like, what happened? They weren't getting the viewers. That's what happened. And so so this idea that Trump can fool us, by putting out like, "Oh, they're they're not relevant." Okay. Maybe they got you where it hurts in the ego, huh? That's what really happened. So, but I do want to show you, they were asked about it. The creators were at a panel and they were asked about it. So let me play this video. It's really quick. They were just like, "What do you think about the White House? You know, calling you guys out and saying that you're not relevant and whatever. They're upset now that you made fun of the president." Here's what they said.
Did you anticipate the reaction today? Have you been following it? What do you make of it? We're terribly sorry. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's it. That's it. That was their response. They're like, "We're sorry." And that is perfect. I love it. If you know me, and you should, if you're a regular watcher, audience member, you know that I'm very big on the First Amendment. I'm very big on the Second Amendment. I'm about as absolutist on both of those as you can get. And I think that we should always mock all of our politicians. And if you are signing up to be a politician, you're like, you know what? I think I'll run for this office. I don't care if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, or even if you're a libertarian, if you're somebody that's in my camp, you have signed up to be mocked and made fun of. You have signed up for people like me to criticize you. I don't really do funny stuff. My jokes, you can ask my wife. My jokes just they're just not good, at least according to her. And so for me, I look at it and say, that is what you signed up for. And we're going to make fun of you. We're going to criticize you. It won't always be fair. That's the thing. And because I saw a lot of people like on, a lot of Trump supporters, and they were like, well, wait a minute. Did he make fun of Biden? Did he make fun of this person? Did you? Doesn't matter. They've been making fun of people for like 20 years now. So and they don't seem to have any from what I can tell, nobody and nothing is off limits, which is the way it should be, right? But even if let's just say they were giving Trump a hard time and they were a little bit more chill with Biden. So what? What does that have to do with the fact that Trump deserves to be mocked? And I say deserves at a bare minimum by virtue of being a politician. It only gets more it don't the argument only becomes stronger from there, in my opinion. But the baseline is politician, you can be mocked. You should be mocked. You should be criticized. It should be tough. If any politician other than maybe Thomas Massey, but if any other politician sees their name in my show headline, my show title, they should be like, oh boy, what is he saying about me? He's criticized, right? If they see your face, they should be like, here it comes. It's gonna be tough. In fact, I went when Jacksonville had 3 candidates that were running for city council. The Libertarian Party of Florida, they put on this event where they brought out an organization. I can't remember their name, but what they did was they gave training to candidates and volunteers. Like, here's how you run a campaign. One of the things that they told us, they said if you walk in and all the politicians smile at you, you're not doing it right. They said you should walk in and they should kind of have a grimace on their face, or at least not a smile, because they should know that you're there to be tough, right? I say this all the time. Ben Franklin said, hey, we've given you a republic if you can keep it. How do you keep it? By holding them accountable, which includes criticism and mockery. And no, the mockery should not necessarily be nice. Now, South Park, they push the line a little bit, even for me, but it's cool. I'm good with it. But maybe you're a nice, maybe you're a nice Christian person, and you don't engage in very dirty and foul stuff. That's cool. You should still criticize them. You should still hold them accountable, right? Like, that's literally your job as a citizen. So on the South Park thing, kudos to them, but I absolutely love their response. I love that we live in a country where you can make fun of your leaders. Your leaders can then fire back. Right? That's cool. I don't have a problem with that either. They can fire back, and then you can just go, "Mm, yeah, I'm pretty sorry." In this like cheeky manner, like, yeah, that's all I got to say. Sorry. Mm, my 1.5 billion though. It's gonna help me sleep at night. All right. Speaking of politicians and bullying them, Randy Fine, this guy, I tell you what, if there is any politician that you should absolutely 100% bully, Randy Fine is that guy. So some interesting stuff came out about him. Uh, so it was reported that APAC and ADL were distancing themselves from Randy Fine. Now, as it turns out, I couldn't find anything about ADL. APAC is now denying it. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So let's take a look and let's see what is going on with this argument here. So APAC denies pulling Randy Fine endorsement after derogatory comments on Gaza starvation. So we've been having this debate online, like, are people starving? Are people not? Apparently, the New York Times posted a picture in that, and they were like, "Look at this, child that's clearly malnourished. This is from Gaza." And then it turned out it was something else. unrelated. And so, they had to offer a retraction. This is one of the reasons why we should also, as citizens, hold our media accountable. I expect them to get it right. I don't want the story first. I want it correct. That way, when I'm reading it and I formulate an opinion, I want my opinion to be based on factual information. So it's like there's a lot of weight on our shoulders, folks. As citizens, we have to hold our politicians accountable. We got to hold our media accountable. You got to hold your podcast bros accountable. Like, hey, like, I don't care how right you are if you can't show up on time. I don't know if you listen to any podcast bros that, you know, struggle with that from time to time. But if you do, you should hold them accountable and just be like, dude, get your act together. Right. But we have to hold everybody accountable because that's how we create a better world. If people aren't being held accountable, they'll just do whatever they darn well please. So Randy Fine, a Trump and AIPAC endorsed Republican representative, sparked backlash for telling Gazans to, quote, starve away amid a worsening hunger crisis in the Strip. There's Randy Fine. He's a terrible person. Terrible. I have no problem saying that over and over. What happened on July 22nd? In response to an ABC News article reporting that 15 people had died from malnutrition in Gaza in 24 hours, Representative Fine wrote on X, release the hostages. Until then, starve away. This is all lie anyway. It amazes me that the media continues to regurgitate Muslim terror propaganda. All right, so there's his tweet. You can see it. Release the hostages. Until then, starve away. Let me just say this. He says it's a lie. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I'm not exactly over there to take pictures and to document myself. But let's put it this way. If you, as a congressman, see fit to say, starve away, what does that say about you, whether it's true or not? You're literally saying, like, yeah, you're suggesting it's a good idea, and you're a person in power. You're like, we don't expect our congressmen to make jokes and to be cheeky. And, it's not like South Park. South Park has a broad range for their rhetoric. Why? Because they do comedy, they do skits, they have this show, right? They're mocking the culture around them, they're mocking politicians, so on and so. So they have a much broader usage for the language than you would expect from a congressman. You expect a congressman to go in there and they are going to communicate facts, and they can communicate their opinion. He can say, "Hey, look, this has to be done. This is the way." He can say those kind of things. I disagree with him, but he can say them. But the moment our congressmen start suggesting, like, "Hey, starvation is acceptable, or it's acceptable to at least talk about," well, we should hold him accountable, especially when it's somebody like Randy Fine, who will, at the drop of a dime, he will tell you all about Jewish hate, anti Israel sentiment, how dangerous it is. And he talks about it all the time. But I also want to point out, if you're in a position in America where you can get hired publicly and say vile things about other groups as a Jewish person, and you don't have to worry about, you know, danger, somebody showing up to harm you, which they shouldn't. That kind of says something about the level of safety in general enjoyed by groups here in America, specifically Jewish people. I want you to think about that. He can say whatever he wants. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to say it. Would he be as willing to say it if he lived in some Middle Eastern country that was not Israel, right? Would he feel as comfortable making these comments publicly? I doubt it. Why? Because his safety would be at jeopardy. He would not be in a position to be like, man, I can enjoy this freedom of speech and say all these vile things, which, by the way, he legally can. I'm not disputing that. But I just think that we should hold him accountable and be like, hey, knock that off. It's not acceptable. We want better from our Congress members. So Then this article goes on and said Fine's post prompted immediate backlash, including from politicians and a prominent Jewish and Israel advocacy group, the American Jewish Committee, which said in the next post, responding to Fine, and I'll just put it up on the screen. We'll read it. So here it is. Oh, that's a little small. Let's make this a little more bigger. All right, there we go. All right. It's this is from the American Jewish Committee. They said, and there was you can see that they're responding to his post. They said the serious humanitarian situation in Gaza must not be taken lightly, especially by those in the highest or at the highest levels of government. Implying that starvation is a legitimate tactic is unacceptable. All those in need of humanitarian aid should receive it promptly and safely. Our leaders must focus less on scoring political points and more on doing their jobs. Bravo. Yes, I 100% agree with this. You know, if you're a troll, you can say whatever you want, and I don't really care too much about you. You know, if you're a podcast bro or a sis, you know, you can say whatever you want, and I don't really much care. And if I disagree, then I can make a comment. But I think there's a distinct difference when we hire somebody for this role because Randy Fine, let's just think about the position that he's in. He can vote on on various policies that can harm or help people. So he has a certain level of power, and we have to. It's our job to make sure that he wields that power properly. Even if we support the same things he supports, maybe you support Israel, right? You should at least first and foremost support being a human, like a decent human being and say, hey, starvation, that's not acceptable. We can do better than that. This isn't like the 1400s. Okay. We've advanced in society, supposedly. So I totally agree for him getting the backlash. Even far right Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene issued a statement calling Fine's post disgraceful. Here's what she said. We'll post this up on the screen so you can read it. Get a second to fire up here. She said, I remember the first time I met Randy Fine when he was a candidate before he barely won Florida's deep red 6th district seat. As we were being told, he might actually lose the seat because the strong Trump district couldn't relate to him and didn't like him. Imagine that. He was telling me that he and his wife were looking forward to moving to Washington and he hadn't even won yet. I said to him that Washington isn't a good place to live and he should live in the district he will represent. You know, that whole representative thing. But he was adamant that he did not want to live in the district. And I thought, no wonder that district doesn't want to elect him. I can only imagine how Florida's 6th district feels now that their representative that they were told to vote for openly calls for starving innocent people and children. It's the most truthful and easiest thing to say that October 7th in Israel was horrific and all hostages must be returned. But so is the genocide, humanitarian crisis, and starvation happening in Gaza. But a Jewish U.S. representative calling for the continued starvation of innocent people and children is disgraceful. His statement will actually cause more anti Semitism. She is absolutely correct. And to heck with you, Randy Fine, for making me agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not that I necessarily have a big problem with it, but I tend to disagree with her just as much as anybody else. So she is absolutely correct. You can say October 7th was awful, but you can also say there is a point for which the response is also awful. And we should never celebrate, you know, humanitarian crisis. We should never even if we have to go to war with another country, we should be like, yeah, I hope to kill all those guys, those bad guys. We should just be like, I know we will, but if we want to, if we want to maintain some level of humanity, then we approach these kind of things where we are forced to harm another person as, okay, this had to happen. If somebody breaks in my house in the middle of the night and I have to take them out, I'm not going to later be like, yeah, I killed him. And then I did this and then I did that. And I'm so badass, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to be like, look, I don't want to have to do that, but I did because I need to protect my family. End of story. Right. I'm not going to relish it. I'm not going to enjoy it. We should not enjoy causing other people harm or suffering, whether they deserve it or not, but especially not. So, absolutely kudos to that. I will say this I'm not going to show it up on the screen, but I will just tell you about it. The Brevard GOP, they came out with a statement. Let's see here. Where did I have it? There it is. I'm just going to read it because it's a long. I'm going to read portions of it. It's a long statement. So this is the Brevard Republican Executive Committee, and apparently they voted just on July 30th, so just yesterday, for immediate release at its regular meeting of the members on July 28th. The Brevard Republican Executive Committee voted overwhelmingly by a margin of 110-14 to formally request the removal of Congressman Randy Fine from his position as Brevard County State Committeeman. The decision was made in accordance with the rules of procedure of the Republican Party of Florida. There are two reasons they cited. Number one, noncompliance with Rule 25. He's failed to meet the attendance requirements established by the party. He missed at least 5 consecutive regular meetings. And then the second one was failure to perform duties. Congressman Fine has not fulfilled the core responsibilities of state committeemen, which includes serving as a liaison between the state executive committee and the county party, supporting the party, building efforts in collaboration with party leadership. Okay, so you might say, well, DL, you're a libertarian. Why do you care about this? Here's the thing. The more noise we make about terrible congressmen and representatives, the more the bodies that they operate within will take notice. So the more I complain about him, the more other people complain about him, right? That signals to these bodies to say, we better do something about this. Get him to stop saying these things or start removing him. Now, in this particular case, he got removed for basically failure to do his job. But that kind of is telling, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, hey, don't move to Washington. He's like, I got to move to Washington. And she's like, I don't know how he's going to represent, the people. And then we see that he's not doing his local job. Like, these things need to be highlighted. Again, I can't vote for him, nor would I ever vote for him. Not just because he's a Republican. I might actually vote for a Republican, depending on the situation. But him in particular, I would not vote for anything except for maybe to, vote to eject him into outer space. But outside of that, he's not getting my vote because I think he's an absolute monster. He's absolutely terrible. And so I'm going to take every opportunity I can to raise my voice about him so that other people take notice and say, this isn't helping us. We need to get rid of this guy, or we need to put a lid on this guy. Whatever we got to do so that we don't lose support. That is how we make our politics better, right? You just start and you start saying, like, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. Do your job, right? Represent the people. And if you can't do that, we're going to make a lot of noise until something happens. That's what we should do. All right, let's get to some comments here really quickly. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick intermission. I'll come back and we're going to talk about this whole Sydney Sweeney thing. I know you're going to be like, DL, for real? Yeah, I got some thoughts. So let's see here. What do we got in here? Yes. Again, Tub, thank you for chatting, Pastor Tub. I appreciate it. Joining me this morning. It really helps out the numbers. So let's see here. What else we got? John says, love me some South Park. The next episode's target will be Charlie Kirk and his campus events. Really? That'll be interesting. I feel mixed when I see some of those videos. Like on some of them, I'm like, they made a really good point. And others, I'm like, but that would be interesting. I would like to see that. And I'm going to have to figure out how to watch South Park, I think you can watch it online or something. I don't know. It's been a while. I used to watch it when it was on Comedy Central. And then I would just watch it. Let's see. Jen Lina says, brilliant response. Yeah, I mean, it was a great response. And that, I think when the government is criticizing citizens, there's some hope, even for us libertarians. We think that government's way, way, way too big. There's still a little hope there when we're still in a position when the White House can criticize you and you're just like, yeah, sorry. Right? That's a great response because that kind of shows not afraid of you. I don't have to explain myself. Everything that, if you need my explanation, go watch my show. Right? So I think that's great. And that offers us a sliver of hope there. So let's see. John says douche first turd is the epitome of democracy. I suppose you're talking about the duopoly, for which I would have to agree. Let's see here. Uh, yes, a plea from my VA lady. Please, please, please. If you're here listening and haven't chatted, please drop a hi in the chat. That's especially critical for you Rumble folks. And if you don't have an account, you can sign up for free. So let's see here. What else we got? Joe points out that he won by 11%. Even the fake Liberty Republicans were actively for Randy Fine, even in the primary. He lives 1 hour south of the district. Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was 1 hour south of the district. But he won by 11%. Yeah. And he's got some challengers. I know he's got the last time in the special election, Aaron Baker, who I met at an event. He's a Republican. He was challenging Randy Fine, and he's challenging him again. And then there was, I just saw the name and I'm losing it, but there was a libertarian challenger as well. I don't know if he is running yet again. I will try to get both of them on the show, maybe not necessarily together, or maybe together, we'll see. But I will try to reach out to both Aaron Baker, and if there's a libertarian challenger, bring him on the show, him or her on the show as well. So we'll see. Let's see. Joe says, I believe elected officials are ex officio members of the committee. Not sure on that. Yeah, I don't know how it works in the Republican Party, but it tends to be the case in the Libertarian Party. Oh, wait a minute. No. I don't think so. No, I take it back. It's elected. If you were elected to the body, then you were ex officio, but I don't know how it works with Republicans. But anyway, nonetheless. Wow. Okay. Fine has 4 R's filed for 26. He hasn't filed. Okay. Well, we'll see. And that name, there's the name, Andrew Parrott. So that's the Libertarian. So if he's running again, I will reach out to him and we'll try to get him on the show. But for now, let's take a quick intermission and then we'll be back. We're gonna discuss this Sydney Sweeney thing. Hey, Liberty fam, do me a favor. If you enjoy the show, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to my channel. And for the really serious folks out there, I want you to hit that bell so that you never miss an episode. By the way, if you want to support the show, head over to libertydad.locals.com and sign up. For $5, you can be part of this show. There, I'll engage supporters of the show. We'll discuss topics that you want me to talk about, response videos that you would like to see, or anything related to the show. And I'll even have a monthly subscribers only episode. By the way, I'm always looking for dads to join me for Dad Talk. That's my series where I invite everyday dads on to talk about what's important to them in the context of being a dad. No argument, no debate, and dads choose the topic. It's my way of raising dad voices. If you're a dad or you know a dad who has something to say, let's get connected. Episodes air live on Friday mornings or Friday evenings, whichever works best for dads. All right, let's get back to the show. All right. So, you know what? I missed a comment earlier and I didn't mean to. So based on this is a comment from X. Now, the comments that I'm able to show on the screen have to be from YouTube or from Rumble. Otherwise, I'm not able to like click a button and show them on the screen. So I just have to read the ones if you're commenting from, say, Facebook, or if you're commenting from X. So somebody said basic beach. Beach is in like sandy beach, just so we're clear. Speaking of 2A, can you shout out Dexter Taylor? His Give Send Go is just over the 50% mark of his legal fund goal. So yes, we will. Let me throw this up on the screen here. We can do this really quickly. We'll give a quick shout out because I think this is actually important. So let me bring this up on the screen here. Do. So this is Dexter Taylor, to a legal fund. Hi, my name is Dexter Taylor, Tape Dex, Carbon Mike. I am a New York native, a father, a data engineer with almost 30 years in the software industry, the founder of the Foundationist Society. I'm gonna read this over. We'll skip past it. So the state of New York believes I'm a dangerous felon. Ooh, I need to zoom that in. Come on. Where's the, okay, messed it up. Get past that. No. Okay, so I guess if I zoom in, I lose the text that I was trying to read from. So that's unfortunate. That's kind of weird. Where did it go? There it goes. Okay, so that was kind of weird. I don't know what happened there. Okay, this is the best I can do. State of New York believes I'm a dangerous felon because I'm also a gunsmith. What did he do, folks? He quietly exercised his Second Amendment rights at home, building weapons and developing weapons science and new hardware software products. He was raided by the New York Police Department, ATF, in April of 2022. He was a member in good standing of the West Side Rifle and Pistol Range in Manhattan. They're fighting the case now, but if he loses, he's going to be looking at 18 years in prison. So what exactly did he do? Just as a quick summary, he was building weapons as a hobbyist. That's it. And to my knowledge, he didn't fire any one of them. And I don't believe he sold them either. He was just making them because that's his hobby. That's what he enjoys doing. And I think he was like promoting posting, what he did online. And then the government came after him and they said, hey, you can't do that. So I object to this because I'm a 2A, I'm a Second Amendment absolutist. And if somebody's not committing a crime, why are we worried about? Go after the people that are committing a crime. Remember all the Tren de Aragua folk? Like, did you go round them all up yet? Did you save the apartment complexes? Right? Like, what about all the hundreds and thousands and millions of illegal immigrants that are committing violent crimes? Did you get those yet? Worry about people that are committing violent crimes. People that are not committing violent crimes should not be punished. Peaceful people should be left alone to be peaceful. That's what he was doing. So go support him. I will throw I'll throw this link in the show notes, but I'll also post it here so that you guys can see it and potentially click on it. So there that is. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Where'd we go here? Let's click back. Basic Beach. I appreciate it. And then she goes on and says, honestly, I'm okay with people like Randy Fine saying these things. These let these people tell on themselves. The more we know, the more informed we are to vote them out. Agreed. And I also like I support Randy Fine's right, his legal right to say things. However, that doesn't mean he's going to be spared my criticism. And I will say, just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right, let's get into this Sweeney thing because this one was a trip. Now, initially I was like, I don't know what this whole Sydney Sweeney thing is. I'm not even sure who she is. Like, I know what she looks like. I know her face, but like, I don't know what she's actually famous for. Um, and the only reason I even know her before this controversy, I like to buy drinks, and she's like on some of the buy drinks. So I'm like, oh, there's this famous young lady named Sydney Sweeney who does something that got her name and face on this bottle. Cool. That's what I know of her. So initially, I kept seeing this thing about some advertisement and American Eagle, and I was like, whatever, who cares? It's an advertisement. People have been complaining about advertisements forever, and they're like, oh, unrealistic beauty standards. I get it. There's a reason you don't see my face on any products, because I don't fit that standard, and I'm quite content with that. And I've always been that way. Like nobody stopped me and said, "Hey, man, you could be a model. Want to get in this van with me?" Okay, that's probably should be making that kind of a joke. But the point being, like, we live in that kind of a world. Everybody has some standard of beauty that they probably don't live up to, right? And we're attracted to attractive people. So it makes sense that we're going to be like, oh, wow, this beautiful person is on this product. I should go buy it and then I'll be beautiful. Right now, we should also teach our kids that's not really how the world works. But I'm content with all that. So initially, I was just like, whatever, who cares? Then I saw this clip from Pierce Morgan, and it got my attention because I was like, wait, what?
You used the word normal and talked about it in the context of this white woman. White women are normal, but so are other people. The problem is, historically, we have only normalized white people. And so we've made white women's bodies, white male bodies, the norm. And we've made everything else less human, less beautiful, less real. And so
wait a minute, we did? We we made everybody less real? And like if you want to say disproportionately white folk were in, advertisements, fair. I mean, that kind of makes sense. There's it's not that our demographics are evenly split among all different groups. You have a higher percentage of white people than you have of black people, than you have of Asians, and so on and so forth. So it would make sense that you might see more white people. right? Okay. But he's putting a lot on there. Like, we've done this, we've done this. We have? Was that the goal? Is that how white people understand it? Like, it's one thing to say this and go, well, from the black perspective, from, the Hispanic perspective, the Asian perspective, whatever perspective you're coming from. It's one thing to say that. But are you getting that? Is that same perspective shared by white people? Are they looking at like, yeah, white is, the better looking race? Is that like, I'm sure there are some people out there, but largely, is that what's really happening? Because from my vantage point, not really seeing it. Not in how we actually behave.
When we say good genes are the ones that
load of crap. Honestly, I'm sorry, Mark. If I may jump in on my own show, what a load of crap. I saw Beyonce do a jeans ad. Everybody drooled over it. I loved it. Thought she looked hot when she did. Right? I mean, what are you talking about, man? This is. Let me ask you a straight question. Let me ask you a straight question. Does Sydney Sweeney have bad genes? Yes or no?
No, I don't think she has bad genes.
Does she have good genes? Does she have good genes?
No. Again, you're trying for these gotchas. If you just
she doesn't
listen,
have good or bad genes.
The whole point is to argue that good and bad genes itself is a bad idea. It's a racist
Why can't
idea.
you have?
Okay, so that was astounding. Did you catch it? Did you happen to catch it? By the way, real quick, my little man wants to say hi.
Hello.
All right. Did you catch what Mark said? So he was asked, he goes, does Sydney Sweeney have bad genes? And he said, no. Okay, fine. Then he was like, does she have good genes? And then he didn't want to answer. And then he's like, does she have good or bad genes? And he's like, we shouldn't be talking about good or bad genes. But he did. Even Mark Lamont was not willing to say, like, when he was asked about bad genes, he did not follow through on what he just literally a moment later tried to tell us, which is we should not be worrying about good or bad genes. His response to does she have bad genes should have been the same response to the question of does she have good genes, right? That's what he should have done if he really believed it. I'm not so confident that he actually believes this nonsense that he's spewing, right? Like so let's continue listening. Maybe he'll clear it up here in a moment, and then we'll be like, oh, okay, DL got it wrong. He was just being too quick to comment.
Good genes, Mark.
Why is it racist?
If
Why
you all
can't
would
you have
allow me
good
to answer.
genes?
All right, I'm going to respond, and I'm going to hope that you don't interrupt me as I answer. Okay? Because again, no one else has been interrupted except the people who disagree with you. What I'm saying is,
Stop being so precious,
the
please.
word you listen. The word eugenics literally means good genes. It literally means that etymologically. The point here is to judge human beings based on their genes and to decide that you have good genes and you have bad genes isn't in and of itself a racist project. That's the point. So no, it's not that I think that I have good genes and you can't say anyone else has good genes. I'm saying let's get rid of the good genes narrative, particularly when it's based on hair and eyes and body type. Why? Because those things are racially coded. In other words, if I say that straight hair is good genes or blonde hair is good genes, and no, I'm not after watching an ad, Googling someone to figure out their natural roots. You'd be shocked to know how many people don't do that. If I'm doing these things and I see your eye color and your hair as a sign of your good genes, then that means someone who has a different hair or eye color doesn't have good genes. And the last thing I'll say is if you look historically at ads, at culture,
it doesn't though, does it? Calm down. Calm down. It doesn't actually mean that.
By the way, it's generally understood that you should never tell an angry woman to calm down.
No,
hang on. No, I will speak on my own show. So just calm down.
I'm asking you not to be condescending.
Stop being so precious. My instruction about shouting was between the four of you, not me. It's my show. I do what I like.
Yes, I don't care if it's
my
your show
point is this.
If you interrupt me in the first minute, it's bad form. I'm saying that if you let the guest who agreed with you talk for 3 minutes, then don't allow me to talk for more than 1 second. You literally didn't let me finish the first sentence.
You have literally done more talking than all three other guests put together, multiple
that is not
by
true.
2 or 3. So
that's not true, but my issue with you interrupting was not at this point. It was at the first 10 seconds. My point was just to interrupt me in the first 10 seconds. So
Can you
much
calm
now is
down?
irrelevant.
Can you calm down?
I'm not angry. I'm talking over you.
Right.
Can I jump in
I
here,
have
Pierce?
blue eyes. right? I also have good genes, particularly on my mother's side, because my skin is surprisingly good for a person of my age, because my mother's side all had good skin. You got a problem with that?
This is crazy. So I'm like, wait a minute. We're arguing about an ad because the ad said good genes. And therefore, if you say good genes and it's a white woman, then bam, all of a sudden, everybody else who doesn't have those same genes, all of a sudden they're ugly. Like that's a bit of a stretch, man. And I don't know that this is not a good way to lead our young people in thinking about the world. When my son gets older, who you just saw a moment ago, when he gets older, I'm going to tell him like, yes, some people are going to be considered more beautiful than others. Some of them maybe they have to put a little work in to look more beautiful than others. Others maybe they just seem to have that natural beauty. Whatever. At the end of the day, that's not going to stop you from being successful. Plenty of ugly people have been successful. I mean, how many times have we looked at a guy and we're like, how did he score that chick? Right? Did he have just what, good genes, or did he have good money? Right? Like this is not new. I grew up with this. I remember seeing tons and tons of guys with beautiful women. You're like, what in the heck happened there? Is she blind? Right? Right? Like, does she know who she's with? And for whatever reason, he was able to woo the woman. Maybe it was money. Maybe maybe he had some clever words that he could say and she really liked it. Maybe they just enjoy a particular, hobby or something, whatever. Okay. But I think what Mark is doing is in some sense immoral, because number one, I'm not even sure that he fully believes it, but then number two, he's raising a point that doesn't seem to be present with the other group, the group that he's criticizing. I have hung around a lot of white people, a lot, and I've never once heard somebody suggest that good genes are white genes, right? Or that blue eye is preferable. And if you look at how people interact, like they're dating cross race, across different races. What does that kind of tell you? Like, how many times have you seen a white woman with a black man, or maybe a white man with the black woman? A little bit less frequently, but you'll still see it, right? And then you see white people with Asians, and you see all these variations all over the place, right? I could go to the store right now, probably like Walmart right around the corner. I could go there right now, and if I see a couple, there's a good chance that I will see a mixed couple, that I will see a white person with somebody who's not white. So our behavior tends to be more telling than this stupid ad, But let's take a look at the ad. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe Mark's on to something here. So let's take a quick look. Here we go.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Okay. I
And
won't.
definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Okay. That's a clever ad. I'm not rushing out to buy jeans from American Eagle, nor is my wife. If I had a son or a daughter, they might, if they were of the age where such a commercial might be appealing to them, right? But I'm like, okay, it's just a standard run-of-the-mill ad, So thank you, Mark Lamont, for getting me to watch this ad and then go, what is the big deal? But Pierce Morgan pointed out something that I did not know. He was like, I just saw Beyonce an ad. And I was like, oh, really? I wonder what that ad looks like. Maybe that ad's worse. There's actually two. So here's the first one.
Come here, sexy little thing. Snap a picture, bring it on. Know you wish you were my Levi jeans. Blow you down to the bone.
Okay. Yet again, another standard advertisement, right? No big deal. And then there's a second one here, right?
Baby, you play too much. I'm running super shot. I'm looking super hot. I got the perfect pose. Baby, I'm an animal. Baby, I'm a centerfold. Said look, I love to go.
Okay, I'm not seeing a problem here, except for I can tell you I went in my freezer earlier and there were definitely no jeans in that freezer. Okay. But I'm like, there's no issue here. What's the problem? What are we whining about? This is crazy that we're even talking about this, much less that we're talking about it in the context of, oh my God, Sydney Sweeney, she did this ad. And like I've seen people talk about how it's like there's Nazi hints in there. And I was like, what are you talking about? So now I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just Mark Lamont, right? Maybe it's just limited to some talking head and they're trying to gin up controversy because, maybe his book sales are down or whatever, right? He needs some attention. All right, that happens. So then I saw this and I was like, oh boy, we're in trouble.
I really wasn't going to weigh in on this, but here we go. It is so difficult to grow up as a person of color, specifically a woman, and view yourself as beautiful in any sense of the word growing up in this country. I remember growing up in a predominantly white community, wishing myself out of this body, out of this culture, take my name if it meant that I could wake up blonde-haired and blue-eyed, never having to explain who I am or worry about being accepted. That is why this American Eagle ad with Sydney Sweeney is especially off-putting. There's a lot of rhetoric right now online about the political ideologies that this represents, and I don't discount that, but for me, I can't help but think about the 13-year-old brown girl who gets all her denim at American Eagle, who already struggles to see her beauty and worth in a world that continues to value white, Eurocentric beauty standards, which I naively thought by this point we would have moved the needle on. And this girl is now wishing she too could wake up with blonde hair and blue eyes. It took me so long, too long in my life to look in the mirror and see beauty. And I hate that continues to be a shared experience for young brown girls in this country.
Okay. I'm going to do something here. I'm going to say something that may stir up some people. Okay. But first, let me say this. Everybody's experience is their own experience. You feel how you feel. But I've always been a believer that just because you feel a way doesn't mean you are correct. Like there might be a day where I'm very angry with my wife and I'm upset with her, right? And maybe I want to say something mean to her, but that's a moment in time. That's how I feel in that particular moment. But is that how I feel overall? No, it's not. Right? So you have to recognize like your experience, yes, you might feel a particular way, but what about that experience? Is that how you're always going to feel? And then on top of it, based on the why you feel that way, is it accurate? Are your feelings based on facts? So you could say, well, I grew up and I felt uncomfortable in my body. And I looked up and I saw all these white models. And so therefore, I felt even worse. Okay. That's how you feel. However, then you say, well, we're just upholding these Eurocentric white appearance. That's what we deem as valuable. Well, now what you're doing is you're extending outside of your experience and you're imposing what your experience means by determining how somebody else feels. I don't think from my experience with white people talking about commercials, they're occasionally, not that often. I don't think that most white people walk around thinking, hey, blonde hair, blue eye, that's the standard. This isn't 1930s, 40s Germany. Okay. I don't think people are walking around thinking that. And if you ask them, you're like, I don't know how many dudes that I've met. They're like, I'm a big fan of brunettes. I know a lot of white guys that like Asian women. They're not brown, blue hair. They might be blue hair, but they're not blue-eyed, blonde hair women. Okay. So again, when you look at how people are actually engaging in the world, I think that's more telling about how they feel. So if your experience is I felt uncomfortable, that's a fair experience. You can have that. I'm not denying that. However, you also have to temper that when you're thinking about it in your mind, and you have to say, is my experience, is the way that I feel, Does this reflect the facts of the matter? And if the facts of the matter are you imposing what somebody else feels about a situation, then you're probably wrong. So here's where I'm going to make people potentially upset. If you're an adult woman and you say, hey, I looked, I felt you know, like I was left out because of these ads. I'm going to say this. There's a strong chance that your dad failed you. Yep, I said it. I said it. Here's why. I remember reading a story years ago, and it was from his book, and they were talking about like family, and I think it was a book written for men, and it was by a Christian psychologist, and he tells this story, and then he's talking about how valuable fathers are to their children and their families in general, but he was specifically talking about children. And he tells this story about a mother who's making their daughter a brand new dress. And she finishes it up. She gives it to the daughter. The young daughter puts it on. She spins around. The mom is looking at her. They're looking in the mirror and they're like, you're so pretty. And then they both look at each other. And then the mom says, let's go ask daddy. And they rush out to ask dad. And then, of course, the dad confirms and says, oh, you look like a princess or what have you, right? Now, if the dad had said something like, yeah, that's fine, and then kept reading his paper, that would have been like a bullet in the heart. Okay. So I think as a man, as a father, it is a father's job to ensure the confidence in his children, whether it's a boy or a girl, and they have different needs, right? They have different needs based on gender. They have different needs based on personality. There might be some girls where beauty is not their concern. They're totally content with that, but maybe they need the reassurances from their dad in other ways. Whatever the case is, I believe that fathers are integral in communicating this confidence and helping develop it in their child. So if you're an adult woman and you're looking at an ad and you're like, this is white Eurocentric, and it doesn't include me, and they don't think that I'm beautiful. If you're saying, like, number one, you're imposing belief on somebody else, that's wrong. You wouldn't want it done to you. But number two, I'm going to say you probably have some other issues, more than likely, because you should be confident and be like, there's no reason that you can't say, hey, she's a beautiful woman, so am I. There's no reason you can't say that, right? And presumably there's people around you that if you wear a nice dress or you look at you're going out with some friends and they'll all say, man, you look beautiful tonight. Right? I tell my wife she's beautiful all the time, not just because it's my duty, actually not at all because it's my duty, because I actually believe it. But I do think that it is part of my role is to build up my family. So men out there, if you're not building up the people around you, get your act together. Now, here's another one, because apparently Dunkin' Donuts, they wanted in on the act, and they created an ad as well. So in this one, now this one has a little bit foul language, so bear with me, folks. So let's listen in on this.
Look, I didn't ask to be the king of summer. It just kind of happened. This tan, genetics.
There's no fucking way. If you guys don't know who this is,
I don't.
This is the actor from The Summer I Turned Pretty. He's
Never heard of it.
literally been in such hot water the last 2 weeks for being MAGA and liking and reposting homophobic, transphobic, like questionable shit. And Duncan just dropped this ad 11 hours ago talking about his genetics, another white, blonde hair, blue eye. I'm going to admit this could totally be the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon where like you talk about something or you see a word and now you see it everywhere.
We also call that the blue car syndrome, right? You get a brand new blue car and you start driving around. You're like, did everybody else go buy a blue car just like me? That's what she's talking about. But I want to point out, maybe I'm wrong, but he doesn't look as blonde hair to me. It looks kind of dark, maybe sandy blonde at best, but whatever. So I think what she's more concerned with are his political views. Notice how she included all those. She's like, he's been in hot water, because of all these politics and blah, blah, blah. And then they drop this.
And by no means is this giving the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad, but y'all, the odds of two white, blonde hair, blue eye, MAGA celebrities in ads back to back talking about genetics. It's weird. I'm not going to do a whole analysis like I did with the Sydney Sweeney ad because that was like a more intellectual conversation, but
I'm sure it was.
This is weird. He's lucky he's Italian and he's talking about his tan, or else I feel like the comparison would be like on nose. But it stinks. Something stinks still.
Yes, something stinks. The people's reaction to all of this, it's a dumb ad. Okay? Don't go to Dunkin' if you think that they only want white, blonde hair, blue-eyed people. Go somewhere else. Go to Starbucks where apparently they like black people or brown people or whatever. Okay? This is not complicated, folks. It's an ad. And they pick somebody that they think is going to sell their stuff. End of story. Now, if you're like, well, where's the people of color? Okay. Well, I can tell you right now, I grew up with like every guy that I knew thinking that, Beyonce was pretty hot, but Halle Berry, everybody loved Halle Berry, right? Here's some other names that I just, Salma Hayek, Jennifer Lopez, Lucy Liu, right? Penelope Cruz. These are old names. I'm picking names that were older, because they're back in my day, because I can't really pick the new ones because I'm too busy dealing with life to worry about a commercial. Okay. When you're younger, yeah, you can worry about these things. You'd be like, oh, this is the new hot singer of this band, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But I think the big problem that we have here is that people are conflating politics with everything else. And politics is slowly but surely destroying everything. At some point, it's just fair, I think, to go, maybe they thought Sydney Sweeney would just sell more jeans. I don't think they were like, can we find a white person that has good genes so that we can let all these brown people know what's up? Can we? Like, no. They were just like, who's going to sell more jeans? Hey, this girl over here. I bet she would. Let's see if we can get her in. Okay. Bam. Done deal. Right? Did they happen to be MAGA? Yeah. Does that mean anything? Probably not. I don't know. It might. Who cares? Don't buy their jeans. Don't buy their coffee. Yeah. When I remember growing up, and I am like, none of my white friends thought of me as white. But I will tell you this, they sure as heck like my tan. Yeah, I would go to school and the girls would be like, how did you get so tan? I'd be like, they're like, did you go to a tanning bed? And I was like, no, went and mowed the lawn. Right. Yeah, like it's kind of weird that people of color, younger people of color, but even older ones who should know better, are coming out and they're like, everybody likes the whiteness. And I'm like, I don't know. Like all the white people are trying to get tan, at least from my recollection. And I remember growing up with plenty of celebrities that people admired and thought were beautiful, who were of varying colors. So this whole idea that we need to focus in on it, I think it's really politics, and we need to tell people, knock it off. Everything doesn't have to be political. Sometimes it's a stinking ad. Let it go. And if you have problems, if you watch an ad and that makes you self-conscious, and that ad isn't like directly, referencing you as a person. Like if the ad was like, hey, if you're a brown woman, you're excluded, then it would make sense. Obviously it's not going to be that straightforward, not that direct. Okay. But let's just say that you draw a conclusion. The question that you have to ask yourself is that the conclusion that people that don't look like me are getting, or is that me? Right? Because that's how self-confidence works. A lot of times, if you lack self-confidence, you will assume other people, things about other people. That is an incorrect assumption. So it's kind of like, how do they say that? They say every criticism is a confession, right? Something like that. Yeah, in a way, this is a kind of a confession that we're seeing. Either one, you're too wrapped up in politics, or two, you have self-confidence issues. You need to work those out. And I know it's not pleasant to say, but that's where we need to be. And I will again, if you're a dad and you're not, managing your household, if you're a man and you're not managing the mood in your household, I'm not talking about walking around, ordering people around, dictating, get me a sandwich, woman, grab me a beer. It's not what I'm talking about. If you're a man and you have a home, people living in it, your job is to build the confidence of those around you. That's your role. Do your job. And if you're somebody that didn't get it, then you need to figure out what it is that you can do to worry about. Because at the end of the day, the only person you can change is you. And you should be perfectly content with who you are. Now, if you're a teenager, yeah, challenges, you're gonna be running into some challenges. Not gonna be so easy. That's why you hopefully have a proper dad who's helping you along, a proper mother. Mothers are included too. Since I'm a man, I speak more to dads. Okay. So for me, I think this whole nonsense is garbage, and we're doing a disservice, not by the ads, but by how we're responding to them. If you're a parent and you're watching this, make sure that you tell your child they're beautiful, they're smart. I mean, don't exaggerate and lie to them about stuff, like if they don't do a good job on something and they can do better, then you can tell them and be like, hey, that's not your best work. But you should absolutely be building them, take them out, do things with them to help them build their confidence so that they don't crumble when they see a stupid ad. Whether it's Beyonce or whether it's Sydney Sweeney, who cares? Both of them were ads. Both of them were beautiful women. Both of them were trying to sell jeans at the end of the day. Either you think those jeans are going to work for you or not. All right. That's enough of that. Let's get on to some comments here and get out of here. Let's see. Oh, look. I see Basic Beach has joined the chat, the live chat. Thank you so much for joining. Awesome. Glad to have you here. Let's see. John says, no one argues that Bill Belichick has good genes when a 20-year-old is hanging off his arm. All about the money. I assume he's got a younger girlfriend. But yes, you're right. There are many guys out there that are older, they have lots of money, and you're like, he's 50 and she's 28? Yeah. I'm sure she chose him for his looks, right? I mean, if he's not Tom Cruise, who doesn't seem to age, he wasn't chosen for his looks, when he's 50, 60, 70 years old and he's got a woman like 30 years his younger. Okay. He ain't getting picked because of his looks, and whatever. Like if they're adults, they can consent to these things. But Joe says, I don't understand these commercials. I mean, I get it. They're like pretty celebrity, buy our jeans. It's pretty simple. That's what it is. Like you too can have a butt that looks like her. I mean, I can't. So I guess I should complain and be like, how come there aren't men showing off jeans and how my butt might look, Like at least these women got a woman to look up to. I didn't even get that much. You know what I'm saying? It's all so crazy. I don't get it either. Let's see. This girl isn't white. I don't know. John says, Brooke Shields, Cindy Crawford, all dark-haired and non-blue-eyed and all defy the standard of beauty. Yeah, absolutely. And, as a younger guy, I watched, what was it? The Victoria's Secrets fashion show or something like that years ago. And I distinctly remember some very beautiful women who were not white, okay, in the fashion show. Like there's only a limited number of models that got to be in the Victoria's Secrets fashion show, and some of them were not white. Like if you look around, you will find non-white people as celebrities and quote unquote standards of beauty. Let's see what else. I can't believe that I'm spending a whole time talking about this. Let's see here. Boy, yeah. Time says boy looks like a redhead. I mean, maybe I could zoom in, but even from a distance, I'm like, he's not looking blonde to me. That's not what I think of when I think of blonde. He looks like, maybe a dirty blonde at best. Let's see what else we got here. Yes, I agree. Halle Berry and Salma Hayek are definitely gorgeous. Yeah, who doesn't believe that? Like every white person, every white guy I know would say that. Like, hell yeah. Even today, I haven't seen her lately, but even today, I believe that Halle Berry is still a beautiful woman. And let me tell you a funny story, and we'll end on this, and then we'll get out of here. Years ago, many years ago, I was downstairs. My wife was upstairs working, and I was talking to a friend, or maybe I was on the phone. I'm not really sure, but we were talking about Halle Berry, and I was making this joke about, everybody has that one celebrity for which their spouse gives them a pass for. And I was making some sort of joke about Halle Berry, and my wife yells down. She was like, "Hey, if you get a shot with Halle Berry, you take it." Right now, she clearly didn't mean that. She was just kind of chiming in and joking. All right, we believe in we do not believe in infidelity here. So, but I'm just saying, like, Halle Berry was an attractive woman, and she was not white, and this was widely shared by many people. The standards of beauty apply to many women of varying colors, maybe even varying heights. There's tall women that are beautiful. There's short women that are beautiful. Get over yourselves, right? Go figure out your self-confidence. It'll take you a long way. And if you're a man, make sure that you're building the self-confidence in those around you. All right? That's my show today, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll get back to some politics come Monday. Today's Thursday, so we're just kind of wrapping up the week. My family's back in town tomorrow. I'm reaching out to a couple dads to try to get them on the show. I wasn't successful. I was on somebody's show last night. My friend Kyle Matovic, he does Liberty and Health, or Liberty in Health. I can't remember which one. And so we did a pre-recording. He's going to drop that in the next few days. I will make sure to let you guys know when that comes out. That was a fun conversation. He is about 4 or 5 days from being a dad. He's got a daughter on the way. We had a great conversation. It was awesome. I'm excited for him. I will have him on the show. He has promised, but I'm going to give him at least a month, if not more. He's totally going to need it because that first month, as I told him, raw survival. So, but it's going to be awesome. I look forward to seeing, the joy on his face when when his daughter arrives, and then just watching the stories of things that he does with his daughter as he's going forward in his in fatherhood. So it's going to be great. So if you know a dad, or you are a dad and you want to be on the show, and you got something to talk about, it's not related to politics, just about being a dad, hit me up. We'll get you on the show. We'll have a chit chat. That's how I raise dad voices. But for now, I'm going to head on out. I will see you guys tomorrow with another episode of Dad Talk.